Hey guys, welcome back to BreakUP Club. This is the third installment of your course, and it is entitled Unearth Your Worth.
So, to give you an overview of what we're going to discuss today in this awesome class, the first thing we're going to talk about is truly unearthing your worth. And that really means, learning to deserve what you accept and accept what you deserve. It also means learning how to silence the noise from your ex, those thoughts that kind of loop through your mind all the time, and getting a handle on that. We're also going to discuss a really fun topic of becoming what it is that you want to date. And then we are going to do an amazing activity we're going to show you as your homework assignment, something called the iceberg theory. And that's your wrap up today.
Yeah. So let's talk about the power thought this week. So the power thought is you date at the level of your self worth. And that was said about a year ago on Oprah Winfrey by Marie Osmond when Oprah asked her what went wrong in her relationship, and she's like, you know what, Oprah, you date or marry at the level of your self worth. And basically, what she meant by that is she was attracting men that were treating her as badly as she actually felt about herself. And that's a lot of what this class is about today. And what we'll uncover and what you'll discover about those people that you attract and why you attract them.
This thought really struck a huge chord for us. I
Yeah.
remember when this was spoken on Oprah, and both of us were like, "Ah, that's so true." We both went sort of back into our own X files, and not just with romantic partners, but with friends and other loved ones in our lives, and realized that some of the less good choices that we made were because we were feeling less good about ourselves.
Yeah, you definitely are what you attract. You are what you date.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes in relationships, we accept what we feel we deserve. Okay, so for instance, if your ex was emotionally abusive, okay, somewhere within you, you feel like you deserve that. You feel like you deserve to be, spoken to that way, treated that way, really treated less than. And this is a really powerful exercise that we both used when we got out of our last relationships, and most recently for me, because I needed to kind of figure out why I was missing my ex so much when I really didn't get much out of him or the relationship. So, what exactly I did was Tristan and I created a form that basically looks like this. It consists of 3 columns. And do this in your journal right now or after this video. List what you deserve in a relationship. So, what exactly do you feel like you deserve in a relationship? What do you want in your next relationship? What do you feel you're worth? Being treated as in your next relationship. Okay, it could be anything from, I deserve to be taken out to dinner. I deserve to be, told I'm beautiful. I deserve to be spoken to in a respectful way. All those things that, you feel, you're worthy of in a relationship. Okay, so that's one column. In the next column, it's just going to be a simple yes or no. Okay, so just put yes or no at the top, draw a column. And in the third column, it's what I accepted. Okay, and that's going to be what you accepted in your last relationship. So, for instance, for me, it was I deserve to be, in the what I deserve to be not ignored and silenced when I have something, important to say or when I'm feeling a certain thought. And in the yes or no column, I obviously checked no. That's not what I got out of my last relationship. And then, did I accept it? Absolutely. I accepted being either silent or not speaking up for myself because I was afraid that I was going to leave. He was going to leave. Um, so, and then once you kind of go through this list, you're going to see that you check off more no's, like, no, you didn't get what you deserved in that last relationship, than yeses. And that's when you really have to, focus on the fact that, like, is this a relationship that I really should be missing? Is this a person that I really should be missing? Is this the relationship that I want? And the answer is no, because what you feel you deserved, you obviously did not get out of that last relationship. You got less than. You settled for less than. So it should make it a little bit easier, when you have those weak moments of being like, I want him back. This was as good as it gets. I feel like, you know, maybe I should give him one more chance. You know, you accepted less than in that relationship. You want to move forward and only accept now what you deserve. When you focus on what you deserve, the how will obviously appear. How am I going to, make that happen in my next relationship? How am I going to attract that type of person that's going to treat me how I feel I deserve to be treated? And just kind of keep on replaying in your head, like, everything that you feel like you're worthy of, that you feel you need out of a relationship that he didn't give you in this past relationship. That is what you shouldn't be missing. That is what you do not want.
It also gives you a good opportunity to do a little bit of soul work and think about, why did you settle for less than?
Right.
Why did you think, for Janice's example, like, why is it that you thought your voice didn't matter,
Right.
that your feelings and thoughts didn't matter? And you really want to challenge those things. Or even though you're aware of it, you might fall back into the same pattern
Sure.
over and
Exactly.
over.
Exactly.
It's a really powerful exercise. I love that one. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is how to silence the noise of your ex. I'm sure we can all agree that, like a broken record, an uncontrollable broken record, when you go through a breakup, you have this loop of thoughts that pass through your head, and it's like the voice of your ex. And it could be negative things that he's saying, and it could be positive things, but it's really the negative things that haunt us. So we're going to talk about how to eliminate that, because once you eliminate that kind of noise, you can make room for conversation with yourself that is much more positive and much more productive. And in fact, it's been proven that toxic thoughts are actually more addictive than drugs. So it's a pretty serious thing, because when we have these toxic thoughts looping through our minds, we either get paralyzed and can't move forward, or we move backwards, because essentially what we hear enough of, we start to believe. And that can be a huge thing in relationships that are verbally abusive. So we've got 5 really simple steps to help you eliminate this toxic loop, this noise that goes through your mind. So you might want to write these down. These 5 basic steps. The first step is what we call becoming aware. So in this step, becoming aware, you have to recognize that you're having a negative thought. The sure sign of a negative thought is that it lowers your energy level. And then it can also make you feel gloomy or bitter. And then therefore you can't see good in anything. So it, it might seem obvious that you would know when you have a negative thought, but sometimes it doesn't. So you want to kind of process all of your thoughts and evaluate them as negative or positive, and then it's going to become more habitual for you to recognize when you're having a negative thought and what it's also doing to your body. It's important to recognize the mind body connection of when you have a negative thought, and we'll give some examples in a bit, how it affects your being. All right, the second step is to label the thought and then discard it. So you want to take a very good, honest look at your thought, noting that I'm experiencing a negative thought right now. And then you decide that you will not let this negative thought take control of you, that you don't actually have to own it, that just because he said it, someone else said it, or maybe even you've said it to yourself, doesn't mean that you have to own it anymore. So a really powerful way to do this is to, give that thought a label, and then visualize that thought going away from you, or going into the ground, or going into a landfill, or recycling, or pile of trash. Make see that thought distancing, and tell yourself that you don't want this thought anymore. It might seem a little bit cheesy, but it's actually a really powerful thing to be able to do. Another step for you is the idea of exaggerating the thought. So you want to take that negative thought and you want to explore it and you want to play with it. You want to stretch it so that it is just an absolutely ridiculous, not possible, absurd thought. So with my ex, he used to tell me that I needed to lose weight all the time. And he was the guy that I would say, does my butt look big in this dress? And he would say, yes. So I would always have these thoughts, even after we broke up, that I looked fat. So my thought would be, I look fat. My ex always said I look fat, so I must. And So what I would do is I would imagine myself as the fattest person in the world, like 1,000 pounds fat. And then I would take my 1,000 pounds fat self and I would imagine myself in a mini dress, just this tiny little dress. And then I would go as far as imagining that I was featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not as the fattest woman in a mini dress in the whole wide world. And so on and so on. And I would keep taking this thought that started as I'm fat, my ex says I was, and now I'm this 1,000 pound woman in a mini skirt in Ripley's Believe It or Not making records, and which is just ridiculous. And so you go on doing this thought stretching, and what happens is you realize how absurd these negative thoughts are. And quite frankly, like they'll probably make you laugh. I mean, how can you not laugh at that thought? So they really, become bizarre, and then they lose their glue-like grip on you. They don't mean anything to you anymore because you realize, like, I'm not fat. Fat is the 1,000 pound woman in a mini dress, and that becomes like this breakthrough point for you. At which point you can go on to step four, and step four is reframing. So now you can introduce your power thought. We've introduced you guys to, our quotes every week, which are powerful thoughts. We've talked about affirmations. This is sort of like that. So now knowing how little validity the negative thought has, once I've exaggerated it and I realize, like, you know what, this isn't even true, um, I can come up with a more truthful thought to replace the negative looping thought in my mind. So a positive and truthful thought, essentially, it always kicks the ass of a negative and untruthful one. So instead of the thought being like, I'm fat, my ex always said I was, it can be like, I look great. And even if the truth is, I could stand to lose 5 pounds, that's okay too. It doesn't mean that you're fat though, and you own it. And then finally, you want to be thankful. And we talk a lot about giving thanks to our experiences, because that way you're growing from them. So you want to be thankful that you took the time to love yourself enough to go through all of these steps and control your thoughts and redirect them to a more positive, more useful place. As soon as you start being thankful, it's like this new ray of light enters, and that inner gloom kind of goes away. So we have an activity for you to use, but I think that we will go on to the next segment. So just kind of process that, review your steps, and we're going to show you an activity to play with this idea in the next segment. See you soon.